Hey everyone, we are back with Aaron Cooper from Resident Inspect, and we're very excited to speak to him today because he's actually going to talk about what he's doing, and he's doing some really exciting things in the property management space. So how are you doing today, Aaron?
Great, Scott. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. So I know you set your company up to solve some really particular problems with property management and in particular inspections. So can you maybe talk a little bit about the challenges that what you do solves for property managers?
Yeah. So I mean, with in property management, we have the big, it's no different than a lot of businesses. The big expense items are labor costs, um, and really just time. And so one of the big issues with property management is inspections. And so the time that goes into inspections, the overall work that's involved in scheduling inspections is always extremely time consuming and travel time. And so what we've done is created a way to really, really limit the labor costs and really make the inspection process a lot more efficient so that we're not wasting a lot of time driving back and forth from properties, paying mileage to employees, risks of accidents, insurance, all those kinds of things that can cause a lot of problems for a management company or a business owner.
Yeah, so how does it actually work? Sort of lay out what you do and what the whole process is in terms of resident
Yeah,
inspect.
sure. So we conduct our periodic inspections using a live video, similar to what we're using right now.
Mhm.
And so we're able to do the inspections virtually. So we can cover any state in the country at any time, and we can offer extremely convenient times for the residents. And for labor, it's much, much more efficient. Obviously, we can use remote employees. We can use um, technology really to drive the labor costs down. We eliminate the travel time altogether. There is no travel time. So we're not having to work mileage, labor is drastically reduced, and really just eliminate all the inefficiencies that are associated with the inspection process, which is extremely time consuming. So we handle all the scheduling with the residents. So we coordinate convenient times. Right now we're operating 12 hours a day, basically 9 to 9. And so that way we cover, or actually, I'm sorry, not basically 9 to 10. So we're more like 13-hour days. But we're able to cover 6, 7 p.m. Inspections, which is ideal for the residents and for property managers that they don't want to do that. That's the worst time for the property manager. They want to be home. They've had a long day. But that's the most convenient time for the residents. And so we're able to appease residents with flexible schedule options and remove all of the time and wasted time traveling,
Mm.
all at the same time by using virtual inspections.
Yeah, and I just love this because it's like a win-win-win. It's a win for the property manager and the tenant, and for you guys because you know, let's say a tenant doesn't show up for an inspection. Well, you've lost 15, 20 minutes maybe.
Yep.
It's not a big deal compared to losing an hour, hour and a half of your time. You drive to a property, they're not there, and you think, I've built my whole day around this. You know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. There's an incredible amount of time when we surveyed other management companies. We experienced it with our management company, but all management companies face that. The rate of no-shows or lockouts, and some managers keep keys for the property so that they can
Mm.
access them at any time. I guarantee you a large percentage of tenants change those keys and they don't tell you, even though they're supposed to. So you get there, sat in traffic, you get to the house, and the keys don't work. And extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
It's happened to me many times. But that all those problems are eliminated, and tenants don't want people going in their house without them there.
No.
They also don't want to stop working to go meet you at the house for you to tour their own home. It's kind of a hostile situation at times.
Yeah.
Nobody enjoys it. And so by using a the virtual technology has come a long way. And by utilizing this, we're able to appease the tenants, remove the frustration for the managers, and like you said, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it obviously cuts a lot of costs for property managers, but how much can they realistically save doing this? Are we talking like 10% from the bottom line or?
Far more than that. So when we have done a lot of research with other management companies and really figured out kind of what the real cost associated with a in-house inspection. There's multiple ways to do inspections, but
Mm,
if you had an in-house person, you're averaging anywhere from 70 to 80, $90 per inspection. And
mm,
that's once you factored in labor, payroll expenses, the inspection software, travel time, missed appointments, traffic time, all of those little things that come into play. When it all averages out, you're really looking at, at least 70, $80 per inspection. And so we're able to do these at $45 an inspection right now.
wow.
And that's, 35 to 50% savings depending on how you're structured.
Yeah.
Now, some management companies are using third-party inspectors. There's some great programs out there that have people come to the home. They do it for the management company. They do the inspections, but those pricing is usually starting at $100 and up.
Hmm.
And so we're able, if that's the method that the property manager is utilizing, we're able to save them 50 to 75%. And a 300 door management company, you're talking 25,000 dollars a year, can be quite a bit of savings.
Yeah, that's huge. And imagine if you could take that and then just reinvest it back into your company, how quickly you're going to start growing. That's,
Yeah, the thing that doesn't include is that people really quickly forget is, you have usually an employee, usually a property manager, and maybe a field agent that's handling your inspections.
mm,
By utilizing a virtual method and our services, not only are you saving the time and energy on that, but you're actually bringing back a lot of productive time to
mm.
your team. So your team is not distracted by leaving in the middle of the day to go out to these properties. They're actually at their desk working, doing productive work. Um, Maybe it's generating new business, it's customer service with the owners or their work orders, whatever it may be. You're actually gaining a lot of productive time.
Yeah, so you it kind of compounds, doesn't it? Which is crazy when so you can
Yeah.
take the money you save, reinvest it, and you get the team's time back to do the things that are going to make you even more money. It's just yeah,
Mhm.
it's really a no-brainer, isn't it? So
Yeah, I mean it's hard to
oh,
beat.
yeah, so let's say someone wants to switch to virtual inspections. I know there's a worry around quality because maybe property managers have done it where a tenant records a video around the property themselves and they just think, no, this just doesn't work. I need to be in there in person to actually inspect it. So how do you kind of safeguard against that?
So, there's multiple ways that property managers do inspections, and one you're referring to is it's called a self-inspection. That's
Mm,
kind of a newer trend that involves the tenant is given an app that they conduct the inspection themselves. And it's obviously almost free. However, there's a lot of scheduling issues, compliance issues. We tried it over the years as a management company, and we ran into way too many quality issues that we just abandoned it. There's some liability issues as well. It kind of depends on how your management agreement is structured. That if your client, the property owner, is aware and has given permission to do that. Some management companies have that, and it's real clear and it's everybody's on the same page. But there's a lot that's not the case. Um, but we haven't found any sacrifice in quality from a virtual inspection standpoint and a field agent going into the home and doing the inspection. It's a drastic increase in quality if you're comparing it to a self-inspection versus a virtual inspection because we are dictating where the tenant goes, what they look at, what they photograph, and overall what the documentation is. And we have a very set protocol going through a home, so we're able to provide a much more consistent inspection than any self-inspection, and usually even more so than a field agent because tenants like to distract you with conversations and the virtual inspection is less personable than
mm,
a obviously a handshake face-to-face interaction.
mm.
However, we can still get around that and still get a good quality inspection and capture what we really want and what the manager really wants, not the tenant wants.
Yeah, and I guess it not being quite so personable, it actually works in the property manager's favor a little bit because you don't build that rapport where the tenant can sort of not draw your attention to something over there in the corner that they don't want you to see because they don't have
Right.
that relationship, right? um,
Yeah, and it's harder to walk around with a camera and hide things. I mean, can they do it? Sure. They can absolutely, take something they don't want you to see and put it away, hide it, put it in a drawer. But they're going to do that with a field person in the house or an inspection company coming to the house. If they're going to do it for a virtual, they're going to do it for an in-person. So those kinds of things are really irrelevant. But yeah, it's a little bit less personable. Little, we're not the property management company for them. And so we don't get into the complaints or the issues. And if there's work orders, that's our response is no problem. You need to put a work order in.
yeah.
We direct them back to the management company's software and how their protocol is set up to input any kind of work orders. And
Mhm.
so kind of deflect some of it, but we are documenting. We do want to know about what their concerns are, the residents,
Yeah.
and we do want to document it, photograph it, get good, clear pictures for the manager to see once that work order does come in, if it comes in.
Mhm. Okay, so I know you're working with a few people at the moment, a few clients. Do you have any kind of case studies around how they've actually improved their business?
Yeah, I mean, most will describe it as a breath of fresh air because they it's stressful, A lot of companies, we were definitely one of them. We can all pretend that we don't have a backlog of inspections waiting for us to get done. We all have it. Every management company has it. Nobody's really that set up. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple, but very rarely are you that on point that all your inspections are done on time. And so this is a way of that's all we do, right? That's our strict focus is inspection. That's all we do. And so we stay on top of it. We get them done quickly. We move through our list of inspections that anybody provides us on the monthly basis, and we tackle them and get them done. And so the cost savings is one thing for sure, but the compliance issues of getting their inspections done, getting them to their property owners, and kind of having that peace of mind is also a kind of a soft cost or soft benefit for them. But overall, I mean, they are not having to. I just talked to somebody this morning that they were on the fence of hiring a field agent to perform their inspections. You're talking, Florida pay, Central Florida area. You're talking 50, $60,000 a year to get a comparable person to go out and full time and do these kinds of things. Um, and so we can cut that costs, drastically, probably in half or better. Um, and as far as satisfaction, the residents love this. So for us, what we've seen on all the inspections we've completed, the residents rate this at like on a 1 to 5 scale. We ask them, what do they like? So right now, we're averaging about 4.85, 4.9 from the residents, and 97% say that they prefer a virtual inspection over in person, and the 3% were indifferent. So
Okay.
not one person prefers, in-person inspections, which is, probably to be expected.
Yeah. No, that's actually amazing that you're collecting that data from the tenants.
Mhm.
Because if you were doing this type of thing, it would be so easy to just focus on. I'm just interested in my client's experience, the property manager's experience, but you're actually interested in how the tenant's experience is, so you can improve your service, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we want it to be a win-win-win. We want the residents to appreciate this and like it. And a lot of companies are now starting to use this as a benefit. So a resident benefit. A lot of companies have what's called a resident benefit package, where it's services that the residents pay for as a package of products. And some are adding virtual inspections as a benefit to the resident because there is such a high satisfaction rate among the residents and they do appreciate this kind of service. And so it's actually being marketed and packaged together with the other benefits like positive credit reporting, insurance programs, things like that.
Hmm. And just to go back to a point you slightly raised just a moment ago about compliance. Obviously, it hopefully doesn't happen, but it's very possible that a landlord or a property manager could get sued by a tenant because the tenant says, "Oh, this thing, there's a mold problem that they've never dealt with, and I've sent them all these texts and emails," and you end up in this really big battle of like trying to prove the condition of the property. Can you talk a little bit about what your service does to address that and kind of protect the property managers and landlords a bit?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those kind of things happen and they always will happen, and tenants will be tenants. That's just what happens in certain situations. But having the documentation in place and having the resident actually performing the inspection with us so that it's not just them on their own and they can't say, I didn't know how to do an inspection. I missed the mold, we are kind of a safeguard. So the resident not only is given the opportunity and performing it and present there, they're taking the pictures, but they're being directed by our team so that we can ensure that, under the cabinets, under the kitchen cabinet and bathroom cabinets are documented with mold. We're looking at the ceiling line for, roof signs of roof damage or discolorations in the drywall, things like that. But it's actually puts a little bit more responsibility on the resident without putting them in a position where they can say, I'm not an inspector. I don't know how to do this, or I don't do property assessments.
Yeah,
You told me to do it. I did the best I could, and I missed this. You know, I'm not someone trained to do these kinds of services.
yeah,
You are. So the property manager can use us as a way of kind of deflecting some of that, putting themselves in a really good position if there is a dispute or a problem. The resident was there, the resident took the pictures,
mm,
and they were guided by us to ensure that we covered a thorough assessment of the property.
yeah. I mean, with that kind of evidence, there's really no comeback.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. I mean, there's nothing that can be said that they weren't there, or these aren't my house, or I didn't know. That's
yeah,
that's the easy one is I didn't know what I was inspecting. It's the same thing with self-checkout groceries. People want to
yeah,
argue, well, I'm not a paid person to cashier. So things are going to happen.
yeah. And also, they can't say, "Oh, those pictures were from 5 years ago," because it's like time stamped on the report, right?
Well, yeah, and that goes into consistency. Yeah, everything's time stamped, geolocated. I mean, it's very clear that when and what was documented, and consistency. Property managers they hate doing inspections, right? No, nobody likes going to somebody else's house and taking pictures with the person. Like it's just not something anybody's really going to like to do. Um, and there's always, like I said, there's a backlog. It's easy to miss inspections, forget about them. It's too far away. The traffic's terrible. All the excuses that can be made. I'm too busy. And what happens is we forget, or we as a management company don't get them done, or they just said, yeah, we'll get it next year. Goes back to that's all we do is property assessments and inspections. So we're not going to miss those. We That's what we do every day, all day. And so we have a lot higher consistency than someone that's wearing five different hats trying to collect rent, find new tenants, inspect a property, market a
Yeah.
property. We're zeroed in and focused on accomplishing the inspection day in and day out. And so the consistency really, really helps to make sure that you don't miss a year, you don't miss a month, you're spot on. And so when an issue does happen, you have a nice list and consistent reporting with documentation of pictures and changes that happen over the years.
Awesome. Um, so final question for you. If someone was hesitant to kind of try virtual inspections, what's the one thing you could say to convince them that they should give it a shot?
Just try it. We're offering right now free inspections, 5 free inspections for anyone who wants to just try it. There's no commitment. There's really nothing to lose. The worst case is you get 5 free inspections, and it's 5 less inspections your team has to do. If it works for your workflow and your team, great. If not, at least you know it doesn't work and it didn't cost you anything, but a few minutes, and you gained a whole bunch of inspection time.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean that's great advice. That there's no downside if it's free, right?
Yeah, right. We believe in what we're doing, and we've had such great success and satisfaction with both property managers and the brokers as well as the residents. So it's just a matter of trying it, if for some reason, which hasn't happened yet, but if you didn't like it and tried it, no problem. You're not committed to anything. So no harm there.
That's amazing. Well, thanks so much for your time, Aaron, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Scott.